right, we're back again talking all things Private Eye. I'm joined today by the production designer, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Noble IIams.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming down and spending some time with us, brother. I'm glad to have you here. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the production designer's role in the film. What is it that, what is your main job? What is your focus on every day?
Good question. So, production designer takes the image that the writer, the script is trying to convey and breaks it down to images, to scenery, to renderings that, the writers, producers, directors can all see and sort of get a same visualization that, I'm trying to portray. Yeah. So, with that, we can go off of different designs. We can go off of different, imaging. Some sets might be designed differently. Some sets need to be designed a little bit more color. So I bring to life the script that is being put forth to make a movie.
Awesome. So I know you've worked on films from big budgets down to independent art house films. Mm-hmm. What drives you? What brings the most creative juices out of you? Do you prefer the bigger budgets? Do you like the more independent films, like Private Eye? What really gets your wheels turning?
So with that question, it kind of breaks down to two sets of filming. There's union filming and non-union filming. Okay. And most of the time, I work union filming as a carpenter in Local 44. I do carpentry, effects, and welding. Okay. And, it's very much rigid by the books. Everyone has their own job. I mean, that's why we're in unions. Everyone has their own little thing to do. And you can't get really more, creative than just going to work, doing what you're told to do on the plans, going home. It's a nice routine, but by all means, there's no room for subjectiveness. There's no room for art and, creativity to be used in that sense. So I like to take breaks, get away from union work, do some small time films. Private Eye was a great opportunity because I had just wrapped up on a couple films, one of them being American Ninja Warrior in 2020. Sick. And jumped on Private Eye, which is perfect. Yeah. It's the perfect film to work on in a dire time that was COVID. Everyone needed just a little bit of an outlet during the lockdown time, and with that, Jack put forth a really good script to work with, and with all the time I spent indoors, got to write a really really good let's see. Didn't really write as so much, but put together a good storyboard, put together a good visual image that these actors and the scenes would come to life and play. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are some of the challenges that you encountered as a production designer with Private Eye?
So with Private Eye, first of all, you were very low budget.
Right.
It's almost no budget. So I took a lot of the resources.
A lot of passion, though. A lot of passion.
Yeah. And it was a movie done with friends, and friends, do favors for each other. Not even so much favors. It was hanging out and having a good time, and we made a movie at the same time. So, with all the experience I had working in union films, the kits I've collected, my family and all their resources I've reached out to, and by the good graces of COVID and humanity.
I never thought I would hear right there. The good graces of COVID.
We got a lot of free materials, a lot of free services that we took advantage of to the absolute most, and I think that really put together a good movie.
That's awesome.
That we'll see very soon.
That's one theme that has been constant with everybody that we've talked to today is a theme of just, I was working with friends. And I think that is a real powerful motivator. Did you find, is it almost like a letdown when you aren't working? Like when you come off a project like Private Eye and then you're back to the grind, are you kind of like, man?
It is. Like I said before, the union is just very rigid, not much wiggle room. And when I do work on films, if I'm not enjoying it, you know,
Yeah.
you kind of have to ride it out till the end. So I look out to
Yeah.
work with my friends the absolute most if I'm going to start a film or production or anything in that sense. So when I get to do these small films, these small movies, it's all on our accord. We can break it down how we want
Yeah.
and go about it, you know, in the best interest for all of us in the, you know, sense of
awesome.
friends. So
Yeah. What was one of your favorite, I guess, sets that you got to design in Private Eye? Was there one that you really was like, oh man, this one's awesome. I love doing this one.
let's see. Well, it'd be biased to say my own apartment, but we'll go with my own apartment.
That's the one, man.
So,
yeah, no.
During COVID, I lived up in a little town called Green Valley, north of Santa Clarita, small town, about 300 people. And I got booted out because, you know, everything got shut down. Landlady started selling all of her assets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And while I was moving into my new spot, Jack approached me about this movie.
Right.
So with no furniture and just a bed, you know how you know, guy's perfect setup goes.
That's all we need. Bed, TV, toothbrush,
Perfect.
your clothes. You're good. You don't
Perfect.
need a hanger or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just you
It
live
was
out
a
a
blank
suitcase.
slate.
Yeah, exactly. That's
And
all
so,
you need.
You know, we had a couple of production meetings
Yeah.
at the residence and kind of painted an image inside for to be a therapist, you know, studio for our very special actor Elliot.
Yeah.
And so I got to design that on my own accord. To be sort of like a therapist office / live-in, you know, those like nice LA,
Yeah,
you know,
a little
come,
loft
let's go,
type thing.
yeah.
Yeah, yep.
And also, I gotta say, Mort's house. Mort,
Okay.
which is played by Matt Rife, was a blast to work on because going into, you know, the build and you know, the dressing, the house was disgusting. It was gross. And we kind of fixed it up and made it nice. And I've worked on many sets where I had to make it gross, put on the fake dirt, fake
Right.
mold. I've never been to a set where I had to actually clean to make it less
It was-
dirty.
it was
to
too
make
dirty.
It too dirty to make it dirty in its specs of what we
Yeah.
envisioned. So we went in there and cleaned it up, kind of, you know, made everything sort of live-in standards, and, you know, hopefully it's left its mark and still holding up to this day. But working on that, you know, I was working on the Gray Man at the same time, so a lot of my time couldn't be dedicated to that. So I was lucky enough to have my assistant, not even assistant, that's just being coy with words.
Yeah, I know
my
what you
prop
mean.
master, my set dresser, my
Yeah.
everything guy, Cody Gidley, who was
Yes,
actively
sir.
going in there working on that. We worked in tandem to
Yeah.
get that set how exactly what we wanted, what we envisioned, you know, Mort's house to look like. So,
Yeah.
you know, in relation to those two, I'd say both.
Both. Okay, that's fair. That's a good
Yeah.
answer. I like that.
Yeah.
So I know, like with actors, obviously, depending on how they act, if it's method or otherwise, like they have their own, you know, pre-production, you know, things that they do to get into character. As a production designer, is there things that you have to do similar, maybe to kind of prep yourself for the film, or is it kind of just like, all right, here's, you know, the shot list, so I know I just have to do X, Y, Z, or how does that work for you?
Boy, that's, you know, I could break it down in steps. So, I mean, in the first incantation of getting a script, you know, read it first, you know, start breaking it down by props. My mother, she's a prop master, so I go off the props first. And then I go by the scenery. My father, he does construction too.
Oh, so this is like a family. This
So
is in your bloodline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's coming out of my blood, out into the, you know, pen and paper.
Right.
And I just break it down by, you know, the five senses: the scenery, the touch, the props, what you see, what you kind of feel, what the texture, what everything's gonna like. And then, you know, smell and taste is kind of the after aforementioned, but still, they're little scents that can be picked up by the audience, interpretive, but still can be, you know, picked up and added to an overall feeling the movie portrays.
Right.
So once I have that broken down, I take all those materials, bring it down to, you know, are they buildable? Are they rentable? Are they, you know, buyable? What's the cheapest we can get for the possible price we're looking at? Being private eye during COVID, not much of a budget. we went the ladder, the cheapest we possibly could.
Right.
But we did do some good rentals. We did a lot of firearms rentals. We did a lot of jewelry. We did a lot of costume rentals that were necessary within the small budget we had to make that movie possible. So once we go through all the rentals, we go through different versions of rentals, what works in the camera, what works to the producer, the director.
So you have to like put the different props in on camera and say, okay, I like how this looks, or no, we don't. Wow.
Correct. We go through a couple different testers, see what is fitting best for the image we're trying to get on camera.
Yeah.
And once we're kind of happy and how would you say?
Content with what you're seeing.
Basically, no movie set is perfect. So once we have what we got, we roll with it, and by the end, we're all happy with it. Not much you can do by the end of the day once filming's all done. Unless you want to plan a reshoot, we can't do that. But what we have is what we have, and if we're all in a collective mind that this is what we want, then this is going to be the good movie that they're gonna make. So
that's one thing. Another thing that has been a constant theme is the passion and the creativity amongst everybody in the crew, whether they're on camera or behind the camera. You guys all share that, like, man, this was a passion project that we were all dialed in on. We all really wanted to execute. What is something that you're really looking forward to the audience seeing as far as the movie? Is there certain things in particular that you're excited for a scene, or is it more like the overall encompassing, piece of work that you're just ready to share with the world?
Definitely the latter.
Yeah.
It's a small budget movie we made during COVID, at almost the height of lockdown time. It's something different. It's not a movie that I would normally work on. I don't like working on campy movies. I'll go out on the limb and say that I do not like working on movies where it's just so obvious what's going to happen that there's no point in working. It's just a waste of payroll. When
you can sit there in your living room and be like, that guy's the murderer, she's the one that stole it, and then 5 minutes later you see it. Right. It's almost annoying. Right. It's like, why am I here?
I work in LA to create art, and I don't, I'm not in the market to sell my soul for anything, half marketed and just poorly put together. So once I read the script that Jack, sent to me, it really kind of blew me away that, I don't want to ruin too much, but there's a lot of twists. There's a lot of, things I did not see coming when, I'd normally see it coming in a normal movie. And besides, him being my friend, I almost took it immediately. Yeah. Almost, it wasn't even a question, if it's for Jack, it's for Jack. And the movie, being very well written, it was just an even easy decision. Yeah. So, during those couple months were one of the best times that I've had working on a very small budget show. Not even, just a movie in general.
Awesome.
But I'm very excited for the audience to see, the writing, the acting. We have a lot of very talented actors that are working in this movie. We try to utilize as many locations and services within normal union realms that we can ascertain. And I think personally, what I'm a little excited about too is Mort's business card.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very
Is
well
it a little
thought
Easter
out.
egg for us?
It's a little Easter egg
okay,
on there.
all right.
But it is the private eye. So.
Well, Noble IIams, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much,
sharing
Los.
a little bit about your process and your experience on the movie Private Eye, February 2024. Thank you again, brother, for coming in and sharing with us.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.